Well, as I predicted on the program some 3 weeks ago, or a couple of weeks ago, I said they're going to sort this cancer drug thing, the government, just wait, and they'll flick some more money to Pharmac and make themselves look like heroes, which is really what they were doing yesterday, the government. And you would have heard in the news, they promised 13 new cancer treatments, including particularly interesting the blood cancer stuff. They're going to fund 7 of those treatments and 6 alternates they say are as good or better. And in total, I think 56 or 58 new treatments. It is a lot of money. We're borrowing against future budgets, or we're spending against future budgets. But pretty hard to spin that as anything but a win for those who advocate for better treatment and the availability of better publicly funded treatments for New Zealanders. And someone who's done that for a long time, and I think incredibly effectively and incredibly well, she was recognised in our latest honours for it, is journalist broadcaster Rachel Smalley, and she joins us on the line now. Rachel, you must have been slightly satisfied, I imagine, going to bed last night.
You know, it's a really interesting space to be in, Sean, because yes, absolutely, and it's a big uplift, 604 million over 4 years, 175 New Zealanders will benefit, and that's truly something to celebrate.
175,000, sorry, yeah.
Yes, sorry, and it is, but and I'm kind of reluctant to admit this, but I still harbour this real level of frustration, I think, that we even found ourselves in this situation. And I'm frustrated over the last 4 years for some of the suffering and some of what we've all been through under this leadership at Pharmac and the previous government as well to get to this point. It didn't need to happen. So, yeah, I am delighted. I'm a little concerned still about the number of medicines on the list for chronics and rare disorders and also other cancers too. You know, this is a big waiting list. But on the face of it, out of the ashes of, what was a disaster in the wake of the budget, has come something that's really good. So for that, I'm super grateful.
Yeah, Rachel, to be honest, I had always figured, and I had sources who told me they were going to sort this. Why didn't they just tell people like you, and you quite rightly, thinking or not knowing officially that they were going to sort this out, you kept charging hard on this very important issue, as did many other people in the media. And there was kind of an admission from David Seymour, Shane Retty and Chris Luxon yesterday that they really failed to communicate the fact that there was going to be a solution in the hubbub of the budget. And that was really what their apology was for not, I guess, communicating with you guys better. It would have been so easy to come to someone like you and say, look, Rachel, we're actually going to get you $600 million. We're just working through the details of how we do that before we announce it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's been a major communications failing, really. I question who are the advisors in government supporting the Minister of Health initially and supporting the Prime Minister and Nicola Willis as well. I think in the crushing time when they were setting this budget, I don't think they had the expertise around them to say, hang on, do you really understand just how much hope there is out there in the cancer community and among those disease groups and among those patient advocate groups? You can't just push this to one side and say not this year. I think that was a real oversight. I think part of the problem with this pledge, look, to be honest, Sean, when this pledge was first made before the government came into power and they said, we'll fund these 13 meds, many of us could shoot holes in that pledge. We knew it would be really problematic to do what they did.
But they have done it.
Well, in time, they haven't really. They couldn't come out and just fund those 13. We knew that would be really problematic. But we were hoping, we're like, let's go with it, because for the first time we've got politicians who've accepted that we've got an issue around cancer and the treatment of cancer in this country. Let's go with it and see if once they're in government we can have a bigger conversation about this.
Yeah.
And that conversation, I guess, never took place. It was always going to be difficult to pull this off with 13 meds. They've had to fund a whole chunk of the waiting list in order to incorporate those 13 meds, because, as you know, you can't tell Pharmac what to do.
Yeah.
So it was a problematic policy, but it was really badly communicated. And that would be my concern. I don't think there will ever be a scenario again where they'll overlook Pharmac. There's just too many people who need Pharmac to be performing well in order for them to live or to not, endure preventable suffering. So I don't think they'll ever overlook Pharmac again, I have to say.
Rachel, the other thing that was mentioned, does this bring us to parity, particularly with cancer drug availability with Australia?
No, not even close.
Okay.
Not even close. The medicines, the Cancer Control Agency, now this is really interesting. The person who sat on across this Cancer Control Agency report when it first came out was Diana Sarfati. Now she is the Director General of Health, and I remember when she presented that report going, there are 65 immunotherapies, and these immunotherapies treat late-stage cancer, that are funded in Australia that aren't funded here. Now, Sarfati's report came out and said, well, there's about 15 or 16 that we would fund. And I was there with a lot of the disease groups saying, are you telling us that the Australians are fools to be funding these immunotherapies? And in essence, that's kind of what they were saying, which is madness. So they've carried on with this report, and that's what Nationals come in and said, look, let's just fund those. But that report hasn't been updated. There are medicines on there. There's 7 of them that are still on our Official Information Act, the Options for Investment list, the waiting list to fund. It's been curious that particularly oncologists have criticised it, saying, well, some of these are outdated. We don't have any medicines to fund bowel cancer. Some of those medicines on that list, for example, we are using in the private sector. And now we're saying, well, there are better ones. Well, we don't have any.